Another Sunday, another case of the Scaries to start work week. Welcome to the newest edition of the Sunday Scaries, where we have all your gore, lore, and more, covering all the latest horror happenings, slicing open all the latest horror news, and dissecting it bit by bit, finding all those juicy innards. Pour yourself a nightcap and turn your fright lights while we take you on a tour of terror. I'm Luke Ginesco, and of course, we also have... Is he making an appearance? There he is. Dylan Newell.
What's happening? You know, the other co-host of the channel here, making my weekly appearance on the Scaries.
And our boy is back.
Yes, he is. Adrian has returned slightly. Forgive me for that.
I'm alive. I was in somebody's basement for a week. It was really scary. I'm here to talk about it.
What's happening? Yeah, no, that's fun. I think we'll have you back in full swing next week, right? You go back to your house, or are you heading back to on vacation after our little rendezvous up in the north? Oh, and he's gone.
Yeah, I'll be I'm back. I'll be headed up north tomorrow. So, I'm about to hit 1K. Let's go.
Oh yeah, Gremlin Ryo about to hit 1K. What's up, brother? Thank you.
Go.
I know, that's great. I mean, Gremlin, we say it all the time. He's been a follower for a long time, but we got a few familiar faces in here. Of course, we got Mechanimal. What's happening? Always gonna screw that up on BSG and here. And then we got Antler Abram. What's going on? And Mama Mayhem. What's happening? Welcome to the Sunday Scaries. We are here, as well as Debo. What's happening, Debo? What's going on, guys? Yeah, this is a fun episode. We have to do this to basically get something a little bit off of our to-do list. We kind of knew we were going to have to do this to get into a festival. They require it. It's called a curtain riser. But that's why one of our topics today is we're going to be talking about not Fantastic Fest. I'm sorry, that's later this year. Fantasia Fest, both F fests, but they are both effing good, is what I would say. That's right. I was born for this. Okay. No, but it's I'm real excited to talk about that. I think that they are certainly showing some fun movies. And I think the best part, and I'm pretty sure Luke would agree with me about this, is I love to see the movies that are smaller, and I love to see the big ones, the ones we want to see, of course. Those feel great. But really what I love about these festivals is always coming out with like 2 or 3 movies that are just like, oh, I cannot wait to see where this goes. And then you track the progress throughout the year to find out when things are going to drop, when things are going to come out. It's really cool. It's really, if you're into this kind of stuff, if you're into horror, independent film in general, like, it's a really neat process.
It's really funny because sometimes you get a big chunk of films and they don't have a release date at all. So you're just kind of reviewing them without any regard of when it's going to be released. Sometimes it's a few months, sometimes it's, all the way up to a year. And we release those as we're watching them. So sometimes as we're seeing comments pop up on the channel, it'll be funny to see a review we dropped like 8 months ago. And it's like, oh, wait, that is coming out right now because we saw it way back when. But then that discussion gets going. And sometimes we even do kind of a re-review of it just because it's topical and we have some more to say about it after getting to check it out a second time. So that's always fun to kind of revisit those. We did it with, what was that one, Dylan, that it's a period piece. It's kind of a billed as a creature feature. Do you remember?
It was billed. It was the origin that then later became Out of Darkness.
There we go. And that one was a lot of fun to see people revisit that one. So it's really nice to check out a bunch of things. We really go in cold with a lot of them, especially a lot of foreign films. So those are the most exciting, I think, to check out. Yeah, Fantasia has got a big list of high-profile films as well that are pretty familiar to people. But I really enjoy a lot of the foreign films, which looks like they have an abundance this year as well.
Oh, yeah, there's some good stuff there. Infamously, our first festival where we saw I would say the cousin film to The Coffee Table as far as uncomfortable and just downright upsetting movies that nobody is still talking about. I believe it's on Mubi, but it's The Uncle. Yeah, that's a very, very tough film. I remember Luke and I going back and forth on that, I think, through the remainder of the festival, just because like I was so put off by it. And you were put off, but you were like, oh, this is so well done. It's like you admired the craft of it, and I could not get over the content. So I was like, Oh, it just made me feel terrible.
Yeah, I love the take on that one. If you haven't checked it out, yeah, it is an uncomfortable film, but it kind of has a method to the madness. It really strategically makes you uncomfortable. You know, it doesn't rely on gore or anything like that. So it's really psychological, and it's just such a weird element, kind of holiday horror in a sense, but not really. I don't know. It's just really all over the place. But yeah, that one, I haven't went back and watched that one because I didn't know it was even released. I know you had covered it on one of the lists, and then people had said that, you know, that they had already seen it. So yeah, I haven't went back and revisited that one, but I think it is time for me to go check out The Uncle again.
Yeah, it's one even on that revisit, it was certainly something that I I don't know if it's gonna get any easier. I mean, I've seen a lot worse movies now, but as far as like content, but like man, it's something that when I go back to it, I think it'll only be to really show people. I think I need a reason. I need something like if I go down to visit Adrian, I'm be like, hey, you want to watch this movie and just feel terrible at the end of it? Like it's just that's what it is.
Yeah, it is certainly a different take. It's very interesting, but I'm excited for Fantasia because they do have an abundance of just unique films. Because I think that's the beauty is we get deeper into the non big budget horror, the mainstream horror that a lot of people are familiar with. When we get into those foreign films, and we even cover it on our lists when you're kind of deep diving into horror that's going to make you uncomfortable. And you know, yeah, in an extent, to an extent, it makes you uncomfortable, but it also has a very unique story to it. It makes you feel a lot of emotions in addition to making you feel uncomfortable or disturbed.
Hmm. Yeah, and I cannot lie. I've been having a lot of fun with the most recent list, the one that's going to be coming out soon here. Probably if not Wednesday, I'm thinking Friday. I might do this one might be our first Patreon early release exclusive. So those of you who are subscribed to the Patreon, we got a couple of you this week. Thank you so much. Of course, one of those being Penelope Courtney. Thank you so much. They've chimed in on a couple of things. They're getting a bit of a taste for what we're going to be hopefully implementing some ideas here over the next couple of weeks. And let's see what else we got going on here. Did anybody check out Skill House? I have not. Luke, are you
No,
familiar with
that's
this
a
one?
Fathom event, I think, isn't it? Would it
I
come out
believe
on the
so.
10th maybe or something like that? I had not seen it. I think it was only playing for maybe one day around here. Um, you know, the reviews, it was on my radar, but I hadn't really put too much stock into it. I had seen some early things on it, and it was pretty much what I thought it was going to be. So it wasn't something that we ended up making time for just because we had a couple reviews we had to get out this week.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was certainly we're getting into that time period where things kind of like you'll have little releases that just kind of stack up on you. I know we got a couple that are we got really early for some reason, and I think they're just trying to pull ahead because they know the festivals are coming. And that I didn't even consider that until a little bit earlier this week because I'm like, man, why are we getting movies that they're going to be releasing at the end of August? Like, you know what I mean already, but I think they know that's back-to-back festival season for a lot of us YouTubers, critics, and things like that. I did want to highlight this one. Shudder to Think says, is The Empty Man worth buying? Been hesitating watching it for a while. Absolutely. In my opinion, I think The Empty Man is certainly one of my favorite like cosmic horror films of all time. I love the mystery. I love the buildup. If you're buying it, I assume you're buying it digitally because the only physical copy is a Redbox DVD that I totally did not know there even existed before. And then when I found out, they're going for like $500 on eBay or whatever now. So ridiculous. But I love that movie.
I checked it out a while ago. I've only given it one watch, and I remember the ending catch me a little off guard, but I really enjoyed the film for the most part. I do have to give that one kind of a reappraisal just because I don't remember it that well, and I know Dylan talks
It's
about it
long.
highly. Yeah, it is. It's over 2 hours, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It was
Um,
buried because of COVID. It was, I
that's
believe,
right.
New Line or Warner Brothers, some big studio had. Oh no, it was Disney because it was this and Underwater kind of like crushed because the pandemic hit like right after their releases or right before.
And yeah, it is a bit of an undertaking, but you know, I think a lot of people, once you give it a go, I think a lot of people will enjoy that one. I know, I
It's a
only
slow
see,
burn.
yeah, it's a slow burn, but everyone says, at least from what I see, is that the payoff is well worth it. So I would also say it's worth buying because I think you'll end up enjoying it.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of horror movies that make you think. This is one of them. This is certainly one that'll have you kind of appraising and thinking through a lot of what the concepts are and kind of where, maybe the mystery is and how you're going to solve it. And maybe if you do solve one piece of it, you're not solving the whole thing. It's really good. I like it. I've studied it a lot over the years. It's been in a couple of lists, so definitely a fan. Mechanical says, I watched Else and The Girl with the Needle, both impressive. That's the first thing I've heard about The Girl with the Needle. So I'm gonna have to check that out. I saw the poster, I know about it, but that was the first time that I ever saw like anybody recommend it. So I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. And Else, Luke, I don't know how we missed this, but we got to hop on it. I know Alex was telling us to check it out in the chat earlier this week, but apparently this is like a body horror like masterpiece.
I was on my radar. It came out the same day Skill House was
Mhm.
going to be released, and we just didn't get to it. But I would love to circle back and see if we can acquire a screener for it, just because I know Alex speaks highly of it, and to kind of get that word of mouth out there, because from the trailer that they showed, it looked interesting. So I just wasn't sure if we were going to have time for it. I knew we had kind of a busy week with those other screeners, but that is something Else is something I want to make some time for. But The Girl with the Needle, I'm not too familiar with that at all.
Yeah, I saw Bloody Disgusting. I think either had a review or a write up for it, like either this week or last week. It looks interesting. I don't know too much about like the actual plot of it, but just hearing kind of the first like opening paragraph, getting it set up, they seem to enjoyed it. And I mean, I trust Necro McAnimal's opinion on this stuff because he's definitely one for diving in, looking for those deep cuts, those smaller films. So he's no slouch when it comes to this stuff. Nor are many of you. So yeah, everybody in our community seems to be all for any of these IFC Shutter releases, just like we are, because it's like some of those are the best ones.
They fly under the radar, and then I love as we get into our Fantasia picks, I'm certainly gonna talk about a Shutter original there, because there's a sequel coming out, and I'm highly anticipating that. But Shutter and IFC, man, they are really knocking out of the park. We talk about it every time we do a review on the channel. It seems like more often than not, they are really big hits with us, just because they know how to acquire, I think, great properties and really unique stories. That's the beauty of these streaming services. Screenbox to an extent now, as well. I know, I think a couple of years ago, they had a better year than they've been having, just, a couple of misses, I think, on our end anyway. But it's the beauty of these streaming horror services, of these creatives actually getting these properties out there that probably wouldn't see the light of day if they were just going straight to the studio.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about Screenbox is that they will go for like the very independent stuff, the stuff that you can tell people are doing this like on their own money. They're making it, if it's not lightly crowdfunded, it's like that's their own dollars they're putting up for it. And it's amazing that we even have a service that's like willing to do that. And even better that it's like they are also a part of the team that co-finances and puts up Terrifier. So that like independent horror, independent cinema at its very core roots is like a built into that brand. So I completely love it. I support it, even if they don't get like a lot of the films that'll be on your best of the year. For us, I think they usually get one or two that gets at least an honorable mention. But I think that for the most part, they are a great platform. And there's something that, like, even when Luke and I start producing films here, in the coming years, it's like I would be honored. I'd be over the moon to get on a Shutter or a Screenbox as opposed to having a theatrical release. That's always the goal. But I think as a deep cut horror fan, like, through and through, if I make a horror movie and I know that these are the people that we talk to every Sunday and that are going to see it, that's where I want like my movie to be shown. I want the people who are going to appreciate it to see it.
I know, it's so streamlined to get it right to the horror fans. And, I think, wasn't Santa Stein a Screenbox
Oh yeah.
original? And, that one's not like the best film, but I always go back to that because I love holiday horror, and what an interesting take that is. And just the narrative that they decided to tell. You always look at stories like that. And I think, especially with Screenbox, you look at these lower budgeted films and you always see the potential. You're like, oh, that they were kind of hindered by probably budgetary constraints, but you're like, I know what they were going for. I really enjoy this take to an extent. And then you see the potential there and be like, man, if they really give this creative a really good go of it and have them, get a budget that they could really work with, you could be like, man, they can really produce something like Sanderstein. I would love to see a sequel to that, just because even if it's a little bit bigger than what they originally had, they have a lot of great concepts. Not all the films on Screenbox will knock it out of the park for you 100%, but you can always get glimmers of a lot of potential in those. And I think that's the beauty of Screenbox and Shudder. I think they acquire some bigger films, some, more constructed, I guess I would say, films, and that really live in the horror space. And again, that's kind of the beauty there, where you can go into there, just boot up that streaming service, not really having any idea of where to navigate, and really just land on something you hadn't even heard of before.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they both serve different purposes, but all in the end just to really give us horror movies that normally wouldn't get a platform. So just to run through a couple of these, because we got a couple of repeat ones here. Enjoyed The Empty Man, worth buying because I want to get back and just watch the opening alone. Yes, Shudder to think this is certainly something. Penelope also agrees that the opening of The Empty Man, the first 30 minutes or so, is worth the purchase alone. It's a great little short film if you even want to look at it like that. So the movie that they expand upon with it, although a bit slower, is really, really satisfying. Let's see here. God, it's playing at a place near me. Might have to go completely blind. There you go. That's always not a bad call. I mean, I like going in as blind as possible these days to movies if I can help it. JC, what up, guys? Enjoy the show. Waiting on Hill House Lineage. The effing clowns just reviewed Bring Her Back on my show. My favorite so far of the year. Keep up the great work, gents. Thank you, sir. Yes, this is absolutely true. Bring Her Back is one of the best of the year, I would say. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Very intense movie.
Yeah, for me, I know we're going to talk about best of the year so far, so I don't want to dive too deep into it. But yes, this is at the very top of my list. I'll spoil that right now. That one has sat with me. I love the take. I love Talk to Me, so I had high expectations going in to Bring Her Back. And I'll say I think it rides right up there with Talk to Me. I think, we still have a lot of juggernauts coming out in the horror space over the next few months, but Bring Her Back could get knocked down a few pegs for me, but I think it's easily going to be in my top 5. I don't want to say that 100%, but I really do think that it's going to be making an appearance in the top 5 when we're talking about best of the year. Just so well done. And of course, my gosh, the knife, the table, the audio, the audio of that is just absolutely haunting. I watched it a couple more times since its release, and man, it still holds up even out of the theater.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that. With when it comes to the Hell House Lineage, I was meaning like that one I'm looking forward to. We have our screener. We still got to sit down and watch it. There's no embargo, so I would really want to build up to that and try to figure out a way. But we also have let's see, Mama Mayhem in here suggesting Hell House Special would be awesome. I was just kind of thinking, yeah, that could be fun. Would you be down, Luke, and maybe everybody in the chat here, to what if like we time it out for August? I don't remember what the date is. I think it's later in August it comes out. So like what if we did like, what's it, 4 movies? So then like the 4 upcoming Sundays from like July up until that movie releases. Want to do like just go through each of the films, talk about at least for half a show, a half a Sunday?
Absolutely. Actually, Dylan, you know this. I don't know if it's ever been discussed on the channel. I haven't seen any of the Hell House films
sequels.
The sequels other than the original. I just rewatched the original because my wife wanted to check them out and she hadn't seen them. She thought she had seen the first one, but turned out that was not the case. So it was completely new to her, and just a revisit for me. And my gosh, that original is so fantastic. The way they're able to build the tension. But yeah, I would be totally down to dive into the other ones. I was going to anyway, building up to Lineage. So I am totally down to discuss some Hell House. I know, Dylan, you said some of them vary in quality compared to the original, but
depends. I think it just depends on kind of what you're hoping for and what you get. I would say that 2 is better than 3, but they're not like bad movies. And I just think that they go for some bigger ideas than they ever necessarily should have.
And I started the second one. I was having a little trouble connecting with that one because it seems like conceptually it takes place a lot in a studio. Maybe, I don't know. I only got through so much of it.
The first half, yeah.
The first half, okay. Mm-hmm. That portion for me was a little difficult to connect with, especially coming right off the original. I was just expecting something a little bit different. So I do this thing where sometimes I'll start stuff, don't have time, and then when I go back to it, I'll just restart it. So I'm going to restart it and see how going into this one, knowing what to expect, if I connect with it a little bit better.
I'd love to. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'll run a couple polls. We'll see where we get, but I think that'd be a good bit of fun. If not, we'll definitely at least talk about some Hell House stuff for sure. I did want to also highlight here. Looks like Gremlin just hit 1K subs. Congratulations, sir. You can now officially be monetized. I believe that's the threshold still. I think it's like, wasn't it like 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours or something?
Was it 4,000 watch hours?
I thought it was like 4,000 watch hours. So it felt astronomical.
Yeah.
Like when we were down before that, it was like, how are we ever going to get that many watch hours? And then, you'll just start seeing videos hit. But I know Gremlin specializes in shorts content for the most part. So I'm curious to see. I bet he has his watch time, not to get too nerdy and stupid about YouTube stuff, but I bet his watch time's a lot higher than ours would have been, because more people can see his stuff. It probably moves a lot quicker.
Oh yeah, sometimes those shorts, when you produce a lot of those shorts, man, and you can see that watch time hours go up rather quickly.
Yeah, no, I'm happy for you, bud. I hope you keep going, keep chasing it. I know you've been at it for a while. Yeah, I mean, he popped into our stream and he was pretty low in the sub count, just like us. So it was just one of those things where it's like, keeping at it, keep going. And plus, you're still young, dude. So like, you got a ways to go. So I'm impressed that you're building up this much already. Because even as a kid myself, with the couple little YouTube channels, even like my buddy Adrian and I started, it's like we would have been over the moon for 100 subscribers back then. We didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah, especially when you go into it navigating, not really knowing what to expect, it can be a daunting task. But once you kind of get the hang of it and you get a handle on what you want to do and what kind of content you want to bring, you start getting a little bit of traction, just because it's stuff that once you start building that fan base, I mean, like what we've done here, where it's like just the community that we've built, and doing Sunday Scaries. My gosh, I mean, we've talked about it.
Yeah, every show.
We
keep doing it.
We're
sentimental little bitches. We are
being able to just actually touch base with everybody, because it's it's fun to put out videos that you're interested in, and just be like, okay, you get the comments, but sometimes you're not patrolling the comments, and you got to reply, an hour, 3 hours later. And then, sometimes there's not really necessarily a discussion, especially not in real time most of the time. But like this type of stuff is just fantastic, because we actually get to touch base with the community we've built, and, bring everyone together and kind of just have a good time for a little bit over an hour or whatever, whatever it is, whatever the time allows. But it's great once you start actually building that community.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, if you guys aren't subscribed to Gremlin, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for him. He's making some fun and great stuff over there. Let's see here. JC says, I need to figure out how to get a screener. LOL. I had interviewed Stephen Cognetti on my show last year after Carmichael Manor dropped. Great dude. He gets it. I know that scares are best when subtle. Absolutely, JC. Yes, they are definitely people I certainly want to talk to again. We tried to get something set up for Lineage. Wait, no, it was the I'm getting them all twisted up again. Carmichael Manor. Yeah. That one was when we tried to get set up, but it was, I think, October was when that last one came out, or was it September? I just know we were like, it was right at the time we were going into Fantasia Fest, and I completely like lost contact with them, but they've been great to keep up with us. My biggest recommendation for you, if you want to try to reach out, is to send some information, send some of like your links and things like that to just isn't Terror Inc., if I remember correctly?
I believe that's
Terror Films. Terror, and they have Terror, their brand, their studio. One second, I dropped my phone. Yeah. Their brand, their studio is like Terror Films. If you go on like IMDb Pro, you can find the contact email, or even on their website they have a contact email. They'll get you right through to publicity, and they'll let you know if they're willing to send stuff out. Like, that's honestly the way to do it. Anybody in the chat who's looking to do this, who wants to get screeners, move things up like that in this, it's just, you got to reach out. You got to be willing to send a bunch of emails, take a bunch of rejections, and then every once in a while you'll get a yes, and then you start building kind of like a background and some credibility with the studios, and then they'll just start sending you everything. Like that's literally what we did. We started off, our first screener ever was The Outwaters. And it was just so faithful that we actually loved that movie. So like, because that's rare. Usually when you get a screener for the first time, it's like, movie was okay from everybody that I've ever talked to. So it's like we actually fell in love with that movie.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to start with a actual really good positive review, and then actually talk to the director as well. But yeah, it's just really kind of getting your foot in the door, and sometimes checking out even smaller films, because that kind of just builds a bit of a rapport, and then you can kind of just showcase that if you're asking for something else, and really just kind of reaching out to the production companies. The worst thing they're going to say is no, and then
Or nothing.
yeah,
Mostly nothing.
sometimes honestly, sometimes you don't hear back, and then sometimes you hear a no, but a lot of times they are eager to get people to check out their films, especially if you're putting out videos on a regular basis, and are doing those reviews for an audience. And you don't have to have the biggest audience. We were getting a screener with a really small audience considering where we're at now. So
Yeah,
it's
it was
not even,
it was around like 500 subs, I think.
yeah,
when we got that.
we weren't even being monetized at that point, so it's not like you have to have a huge following or anything like that. So yeah, always worth it to just do a little research, send a couple emails, and see if you hear back, because once you start building that rapport, it becomes way easier because you're familiar with people, you kind of have a contact. So it's just kind of going out there, seeing what sticks, and then once you find something, just double down on it and keep track of the things that are coming out so you can ask in a timely manner. So yeah, it's always worth it to ask.
Yep. That's honestly the best thing you can do when it comes to this, especially because like a lot of the smaller studios we talked about, the streaming services, all that, they're just like us, dude. They're just people. So like they want to, show their films, they want to talk, they want to do all that stuff, and they want to, if you're willing to watch their movie and get a video out about it, it's traction, it's something to them, they find value in it, and at the end of the day, it's going to the people they want to see it. So it works out. I definitely believe that that's the best way if you're in this and you're trying to start up like getting new releases or even just getting access to smaller films, because I know some of these movies, we'll request screeners from them and then like they'll send it to us right away, but it's a tiny movie and it doesn't pop up on like anything but Amazon Prime, and they don't even like mention it. It pops up on Amazon Prime, and then before it hits any other streaming service, before it even hits Tubi, it takes like a year. It's crazy. So it's like there's movies like, again, I always go back to Thine Ears Shall Bleed. Other than buying that digitally, like where is that streaming right now? Like please get that movie out there. More people should see that.
My gosh, yeah, that one is criminally underheard of, I think, at this point. And that was another one we didn't really know what to expect to go into, and it didn't appear on like the best ofs our list, but I think we had talked about an honorable mentions, just because it's such a different take on what you get in that subject matter there. So yeah, if you haven't seen 90 Years Shall Bleed, definitely seek that one out wherever it is streaming, because that one is quite a horror watch. I'll say that.
Absolutely. Let's hit a couple more of these and then we'll go right into Fantasia. We'll get that. Let's see. I appreciate that. I shared my Hell House Clown security camera skit. I did with them, but no dice. LOL. Appreciate you guys, though. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there. Means a lot from a newcomer. Hey, no problem at all, man. Anytime. I'm not great, and neither is Luke, admittedly, with keeping up with Instagram messages and things. But if you ever want to reach out, you can. We'll do our best to circle back to you. It's just one of those things where like those notifications behind all the other notifications, they all just get lost in the sauce at some point. And I'm like, oh, did we? And the worst thing about it is because we're sharing the same account on multiple devices. So it's like if Luke flicks it away or I flick it away, the notification gets flicked away on my phone too, or his phone. And it's like, oh, he didn't see it. I didn't. I know it's there, but I forgot. We're just really terrible at it. We need somebody to manage our social media, really.
We'll get there.
It got pretty baked one night, found this channel looking for one with just this vibe. Wait, we are happy to have you there, Shutter. Thank you.
There we go.
Always enjoy your content. Oh, thank you guys. You guys are being really cool. Thank you. I know it's easy as a child of the 80s, talk 80s horror. It's what I love best of the day. Absolutely, man. And Stephanie Hinkle, what's up? What's going on? Yeah, I know she's chimed in earlier. I skipped that and I'm sorry. It was a reaction video, hilarious. Hey, there you go. Yep. I'm not trying to hype it up too much, but the Human Centipede list, guys, I've been working on this for a minute, and like I have gone through a rigorous process of eliminating like a whole list of movies I went through and watched, just because at first I was going for the usual route of just finding the most disturbing, messed up stuff. I found a lot of really terrible things, and I am really really down with the fact that that was the how I spent a good majority of last month, was watching a lot of these in my spare time. It was like once a week I'd have to watch at least some of these. Point is, there was something that caught me about Human Centipede that I needed to find the right vibe and find the right mix, and I think I finally cracked it like 2 weeks ago, and I've just been kind of putting together this hopefully extra mega sized, if YouTube allows it, disturbing movies video. Like this one is going to be big, and then the next one is obviously, I've been teasing that for a while too. We're going to do an iceberg of sorts where I go through all of the lists and we're going to rank and compare all of the disturbing shit. So unfortunately there's going to be a couple more that I will have to probably get a slight refresher on from earlier last year, but there are some that are just so burned in there I don't need any refreshers. I'm scarred for life, but it's all for you guys because I love you and I have fun with it. It's great. So there we go. But yes, why don't we hop into Fantasia? Luke, have you been browsing this list at all? Have you gone through and looked at a couple of things? Anything sticking out to you that you might want to kick us off with?
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah, let's take a look here. Yeah, I've been looking. One of the ones that popped out to me, let's see here. Let me just pull up my list. One of the ones that popped out to me is Noise. That is a South Korean film. So when you always look at South Korean, it's like you have the Gonjam Hauntum Asylum or Exhumer. I think those are two over the past decade that I think are exceptionally well done, or that really hit with me. So that was something that really stuck out with me. I'm intrigued to see some South Korean horror. So that one was when we talk about foreign horror, especially South Korea, I think they have just a really great handle on terror. And I think this one, Dylan, are you familiar with it or have you heard of it?
I have heard of Noise. Yes, I was also going to say this is on my list of movies to check out. South Korean horror, it's excellent most of the time. I mean, it very rarely misses. It's one of those, just like with Indonesia and just how they do their violent fight movies. They very rarely miss, and I am really excited to check it out. So I'm just going down to it now. So yes, here it is. So we can get some kind of at least a visual on screen for folks to see here. But yeah, it's having its North American premiere here. I'm super excited for it. This is certainly one that I knew pretty much I said a safe bet that I was going to request a screener for this, and you were not going to be disappointed. So,
yeah, and if you're not familiar with Noise or what we're talking about, it is basically the concept is a girl who has hearing aids, who starts hearing these eerie noises, and then her sister, who she lives with, does go missing, and she's this. It's kind of like I think that it's like a sinister entity. It's believed. We don't know 100% obviously, but it's increasing in this noise as she's just home alone. So I don't know. When we talk about horror, South Korea, really supernatural, I think especially they really are able to really bring something unique. Where sometimes when you get into big budget stuff, The Conjuring is something that I always go back to, where I think that first film is great, but sometimes it just kind of gets a little cookie cutter, especially with a lot of theatrical stuff that we do see in terms of the supernatural. Just it seems a little bit of the same stuff that we get in terms of the beats and the jump scares. So I'm really excited about Noise. I think this. I watched the trailer. I think it is an intriguing concept. I think terror-wise, it really could be there. So this one, I think, is in my top 5 of most looked forward to here in Fantasia.
good to hear. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that one myself. The first one I'm going to go with here is a little funny. This one, it just caught my attention just from this poster and the title. It's called Stinker. If we have it up on, do we have it up? Yes, we do. Okay. But this movie, it sounds kind of adorable, but also like it could be pretty gross and funny. It's science fiction comedy, but it's got like there it is. Okay, so you can see some of the prosthetics. I wonder if they have any more. Don't they usually have like cards? Because I really want to show the alien.
I thought they
But
usually do.
yeah, well. Point is, I think this looks really funny. It's one of those things where it's like I think that when you have films that are this small and you have a lot of practical effects and things as like your centerpiece by making a character, like this is why I think like James Gunn stuff works so well for me sometimes too, because like he's always really good about finding that little monster or that little tiny critter that you just get like the ET syndrome with it. And that's exactly what this feels like. It feels like kind of like ET with a little bit more of kind of like a modern twist to it. So I'm very curious. It doesn't look like it's going to be too wildly kid friendly. I think it's going to have some edge to it, but it's definitely on the lighter side. But it's certainly something that caught my eye again, just because again I'm a creature feature kind of guy. Even though it's probably not going to be ripping people's heads off, I'm still into it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with creature features. I was looking at it too. It does feel like James Gunn, almost like a little bit of a Slither. I don't know if that's the route they're going to go, but I love, you know, when we talk creature features in comedy, yeah, it's kind of, what is it labeled? Comedy science fiction, I see there.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
when you put in those comedy elements, I think that's a natural fit for a lot of creature features, just because you're already in that headspace a lot of the time where it's not supernatural, where you have that eeriness. It can kind of be grounded, or slashers, where I think sometimes comedy works with slashers, but it just has to be the right dose, I think. Whereas creature features, you're already kind of in this heightened state. So I think I'm more open to a lot of comedy there. And especially if we get those James Gunn vibes, I think, man, that could be a lot of fun to really check out. And I saw the little creature there, and it looks really intriguing. So I'm hoping we get some really good effects there, practical stuff, because that one, it looks like it could be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. But what do you got next up on your list there, Luke?
So I'm sure this is probably going to be on your list. I know it's been talked about, so it's not really underground or anything. It's Good Boy.
Yes.
That one is going to be coming out with Shudder. Now, this one is a supernatural tale, but being told from the perspective of a dog. And man, I think that opens up I still haven't seen Presence yet. Unfortunately, that's been a blind spot for me. I want to see how they do the point of view horror in that one, because I'm intrigued by this, seeing the tale from this dog and his, and I think the dog's name's Indy, Indy's point of view.
Yeah.
Because I think that really does open up stuff, especially if this is more of I don't know if it'd be an incoherent tale, because it is being told from the dog's perspective and kind of just seeing things from there. But we talk about in a violent nature and kind of seeing things from a passive point of view, where you're just hearing things as our killer's walking by. I think maybe that's what we could get from Good Boy as well. We're only getting bits and pieces of a story and really just focusing in on what this dog is seeing.
Yeah, that's like Mr. Boone said there. That's cool. It's playing at his university's film classroom. That's awesome, because this is a movie that I think it was it Overlook Film Fest or something,
I
maybe
think it
earlier
was
this spring. Yeah, it was one of the early festivals. A bunch of people like Cody Leach and his team over there, they all got to see this one, and everybody's pretty much, all their Twitter reactions have been nothing but like awesome stuff. Like apparently it is a quintessential dog movie. It's got horror, it's got laughs. It's gonna break your heart, I guess, at times. So I can only imagine what's gonna happen, but I'm ready to bawl like a baby if anything happens to this dog. Swear to God.
It's like Air Bud, but with a ghost.
Yes. Is it a ghost? It's a ghost, or is it a monster?
I think they had mentioned supernatural in there, so like a supernatural
Okay.
force. So I'm assuming that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm either way. I'm all for it. Larry Fassidon's in this one as well. I just noticed that. So I'm looking forward to that. I think this has definitely been one of the most talked about when it comes to like independent horror films. I think IFC Shudder already acquired this, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
So
Yep.
they're just showing this again. So that's exciting. Hopefully we'll get to see that one.
Yeah, I remember when we first heard about it, and I was already excited just from the take alone. But then when people had started checking out and getting a lot of positive reviews, to be honest, I wasn't expecting much out of the film. I was like, oh, this could just be a lot of fun. and making a case just to say why I liked it, but then really hearing some genuine positive reviews about Good Boy. I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring.
Oh yeah, this is another one here that caught my eye. I was looking earlier today at some of these. I think this looks like Martin Portlock. I
Yeah,
can't confirm that or not, but like it looks just like him.
He's not billed in there though, right?
No, I don't believe so, because
Okay.
it just says Kate Dillon and Sam Dixon, and I imagine that's him. But the Grand Mockery sounds really intense. It's like adopting the texture and crackles of 8mm film, A Grand Mockery. Co-directors Adam C. Briggs and Sam Dixon dive into Australia's dark side. I'm really curious. It seems like it's just going to be a grimy kind of like little tale told really roughly on 8mm film. I think it looks pretty intense just from what I've been able to gather here, as well as just like the little kind of I don't think it was one of those trailers. It was kind of just one of those little clip reels where they showed it, because I don't think they have a full trailer for it yet, or at least one that's available publicly. But I do definitely think if we're going to go into anything that might be a little bit more like thriller, drama kind of stuff, this one I definitely want to check out.
And it's Australian. We talk about it on the channel all the
Exactly.
time.
Yep.
The way that they tell a story is just so well paced, and usually from such a different angle in the way that they create their characters. Anytime you're in the horror space, when you're in the thriller space, you're going to get prime storytelling. So anytime we see Australian horror, thriller, anything, to be honest, I think they have such a cohesiveness with their storytelling that you kind of feel at ease as soon as you're jumping into whatever story they decide to tell. So hey, you just have to say Australian horror, Australian thriller. Don't even have to tell me anymore. I'm already on board.
Absolutely. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. And what's another one for you here?
I have another one. It is another foreign film. It's called Burning. Now, this one, the idea behind it is that this family had lost their firstborn in a fire, but then as
Man,
they
what
as
the hell
they
are you doing?
yeah,
Are you
right.
gonna make me watch another movie where a baby dies?
Listen,
That was
that's what
2024, all right?
yeah, that's what we double down on content here nowadays, being parents. But this one, as they start interviewing the villagers, everyone has a different account of what happened, and nothing ever lines up. So it's kind of almost feels like this kind of cursed film. So I'm really excited to see this being a foreign film, how they're going to approach the idea of this curse, and if there's a supernatural element there as well. I think this one could be, I want to say fun, but it's probably just going to be a somber tale, unfortunately, Dylan. So I'm going to make you sit through this one if we can acquire it. I think it's has the potential. When you say something burned into your brain, I think maybe burning could definitely be there.
Okay. All right, sir. I see you there. Thank you, Debo, for the
Oh, thank you.
$4.99. Man, do you have a question or anything you want to throw our way? We appreciate the donation. I don't know if it's glitching out there, or if it didn't send or what. Just we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, we'll
For
keep an
sure.
eye out. If you have anything, want to pick our brains or anything you want us to answer, we can certainly do it for you.
I'm thinking of seeing it, but I have a broken arm. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, no, I mean, I hope so. That's I definitely think that's, if you're gonna see it early, especially, that's those are always a lot of fun. It's always a little bit more of, I think, a more intimate experience with the movie too, when you can kind of watch it with like an audience that is all like really there to support it. Like going to film festivals and stuff are some of the best audiences you can get, because it's like everybody's a fan. It's kind of like going to like see Marvel movies back in the day when everything was great, and it was like, you were just a fan with your peers, with people who get it. So I think it's always a good atmosphere to go. Just supporting. Well, hey, thank you so much, man. If anything comes up, feel free to mention it. We'll absolutely answer any questions, take any requests for topics or anything, sir. You've earned it. Thank you for your support. And then yes, I got to count Razorback, still one of my favorites. Penelope, absolutely. Australia films usually bring the goods. We say it all the time. Australia, they are always crushing it. They are always crushing it on here. But yeah, this sounds somber, but hey, you know what? Again, South Korean, I'm down. Let's go. They usually bring something pretty great. Now, there was one on here. Obviously, I think we'll mention kind of the bigger ones in quick succession. We've talked about them a lot, so I won't go too deep into them. But we have Eddington. I'm hoping that we can get this because it's already been confirmed to us that we're not getting any advanced screenings here in Cleveland, which sucks. So we're not going to see this one early because you guys know I love my Ari Aster movies. But hey, there's a chance we could at least get a screener to see this sometime middle of the week. If we're lucky, it might be one of the first that drops out of the festival for us. So fingers crossed. But one that I'm really hoping we get, I'm really curious to see it, especially because it seems like, at least from where we sit now with all of the drama and everything for it, we have Together, the latest film from Neon here. Obviously, I think everybody's seen the trailer for this one by now. If you haven't and you're a body horror fan, check it out. It looks awesome. I've heard nothing but incredible things about it. Looks creepy, it looks funny. I'm all for it.
When this first had come out, I was excited for the film. It looks like it has a great handle on the storytelling, this body horror, which we're always on board for. The acting, it looks like it's on point. I mean, they're obviously a real life couple, so it looks like their chemistry is there as well. And then all this came out about, was this kind of stolen or, kind of taking some liberties on creatively from a prior story. Man, I don't know what to think about this at the time. I'm excited for the film, but it's always going to have this controversy surrounding it. I don't know what anyone else in the chat thinks about it. I mean, it looks like a great film. I went from being really excited to kind of being conflicted on whether I should be excited about this film or not.
Conflicted's fair. I think they came out, made a big statement about how, the director really came out and said, hey, this is the timeline of everything. Here's all the proof that I have and everything to show that he had metadata. He had everything dated, cataloged like you're supposed to when it comes to submitting scripts. So it's by all means, everything that I saw and every video, everything that I listened to going over this. And again, it could be totally in the wrong. I'm not saying I completely side with either thing until we're officially 100% in the bag what it is. But I think I can say that I'm a little bit more on the safer side and going back to being excited for this, because I think that for the most part, this is all going to get worked out behind the scenes from this point. I think all of the big drama has kind of gotten to a point where we really can't, the other side who claims this has not made any other claims countering what they brought up, at least publicly. So
the only thing
that's tough.
The only thing that was my hesitancy, I suppose, is that, because there's been a bit of back and forth, and there was a claim out there, that this was stolen, and then a rebuttal saying, no, I had written this, was 2019 or 2020, prior to anything, had submitted and got funding to create the film, and then eventually met Dave Franco, I think, in 2021, 2022. And my only issue with it is that the people that had initially said the script was stolen was that we want to see the script that you claim that you have written, which they have not produced to them yet. Which we know, yeah, you can write a script and then, hey, a meeting happens. Hey, maybe we add this idea, whether we know it was from a previous script or just maybe it got lost in your head and you had read it previously, and then you pitch an idea and then it gets brought into a script. Yeah, you're supposed to register those things as you make big changes to your script, but I don't know if that happened. I went from being reassured, then realizing they hadn't sent the script that they had asked to send. So I don't know if there's going to be a variation of what was written in 2020 to what we have on screen now, because we all know screenplays do change drastically through revisions and things. So that was my only hesitancy, is that they haven't produced the script, when if it was written in 2020, you probably do have, I know I keep all my revisions when I write things. So it would be pretty easy to produce that. And at least the last article that I had read said that they hadn't produced that original script. So I'm just curious to see what the hang up is there, or if they already have and I just haven't been informed about it. That's my hesitation with it.
Yeah, I think the last thing I read was just a couple weeks ago, and it was that big, I think it was in Deadline. And apparently they had laid everything out for him. But I mean, again, you are correct in saying that, yeah, this is going to be a bit of a controversy that unfortunately hangs over the movie until we get definitive answers. So
But it looks
I'm,
good
yeah,
nonetheless.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm gonna go into this excited just to see the film, and if it does end up being bad, whatever, it's like hopefully we get to see it at a press event, and then yeah, we didn't fork over any money for it, so we didn't support it. But it is one of those things where yeah, it does make it tough, unfortunately, and I hope that. I hope they get it sorted out. I hope that everything is in the right and it's just a big misunderstanding, but who the hell knows anymore, really. This is another one that we actually got a request on the community page to cover this as a story. But Tina Romero has a new film coming out, Queen of the Dead. Luke, have you looked into this at all?
I have not. This is a blank spot for me. So have you already looked into this one? Can you inform me?
Yeah. So, pretty much when they requested that story and everything, I went back to the Bloody Disgusting article, and they probably honestly they might sum it up a little bit better here. But yeah, let me just go to that because that'll be a little bit more concise. This is just going to give us that very film festival-y. We're going to run it down. We're going to tell you every single detail. But I think this looks really good. I don't remember her relation to him, if that's a granddaughter of let me see here. It should be top of the story. I don't know. Point is, but it looks good. I did see the trailer. It looks fun. It's definitely way more campy and way more low budget than I was expecting, but it is in the same spirit as kind of like what's the best way to put it? I don't want to say complete Return of the Living Dead, which I know isn't him, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of taking a little bit of that, mixing it with Night of the Living Dead, but having it being all about this. I believe it's they're at prom, if I remember shit, or it's not prom.
So Tina
it's a
is
drag
the daughter.
show. Tina is the daughter. Gotcha. Okay, that's what it is. Oh, let me see here. Ba, 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 ba. Point is, I thought it looked a lot of fun. We did have somebody request it on the community page.
So it's a zombie flick with that's taking place at a drag show. Is that what?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I love the idea. Say no more. I think this could be a lot of fun. I think it opens up the world of some sort of social commentary if they want to go that route, but they can also just have a lot of off the wall fun with it as well. This is a time where I think comedy can work.
Here we go.
Crime or go ahead.
The story follows an electric group of drag queens, club kids, and frenemies who must put aside their personal dramas and use their unique skills to combat the brain-thirsty undead when a zombie apocalypse breaks out during a drag show in Brooklyn. So that's what I mean by it kind of has that they're held up in one location, kind of Night of the Living Dead kind of thing, with a little bit of the humor-ish side of it, kind of poking out. That's why I say like Return of the Living Dead. It looks like from the stuff that I've seen and all the pictures and everything that it looks like it's going to be more in that like I'm getting a lot of that feeling, like it's going to be not taking itself very seriously, but also having a lot more fun with this whole idea of just zombies being in a different scenario. I think we've seen every scenario we could put zombies in probably, but hell, a drag show, let's go. I'm down for it.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in as well. When we talk about how many films have been released in this zombie subgenre, and you start kind of seeing things that are very similar. I love the take here. I think we're at a point in zombie filmmaking where you can really just go off the wall, tell a unique story. Those are going to be the best right now. This sounds like a lot of fun. This would make it on my list of most anticipated now that we're just talking. So I think, this one looks great. Tina Romero, I'm excited to see what she can do, kind of taking some notes out of her dad's playbook there, and just have some fun with it. From the stills there, it looks like a lot of fun, looks very vibrant. And like I said, we could get into the realm of some social commentary if they feel like it, but then also have that fun comedy as well. So really take us on a ride with this one. Man, if they double down on a lot of great gore, that'll just be a big bonus for me.
Yep. And lastly, I think for me, and then I'll throw it over to you, Luke, for final pick before we move on to our next topic here. We have Mother of Flies, the latest from the Adams family. You know, they just don't stop. They keep working 24/7. I'm always at this point, I feel spoiled that it's like this is the third film in 3 years that they have had at a festival. Like we saw Hellhole last year, and then the year before that it was the devil
Where the Devil Roams.
Where the Devil Roams. There we go. Love that movie. But yeah, no, I don't even know the synopsis for this. I just saw the names. I saw this because I don't need to know anything else. But I was hoping maybe you had seen this as well. Then maybe you could give them a better idea.
Unfortunately, I have not. No, I did not know that
Okay.
they
All
were
right.
releasing anything. So this is
Well,
news to me. But if you're not familiar with the Addams Family, please get familiar with them, because Where the Devil Roams was in my top 10 of the year, of that year. And what a different kind of story. They specialize in these small stories, very independent filmmaking, but I don't know, they find ways around it to make it feel bigger than the budget allows. And it's really wild that Where the Devil Roams still an ending sequence for me that it still lives rent free in my brain even after years of watching it. Hellhole, I'll tell you, that is such a fun watch. It's one I do enjoy to go back to, different take, and it really brings something different to the horror space. Kind of, I don't know, feels like 80s fun at
it
times
feels
for
like
me.
I was about to say it feels like Tremors meets The Thing meets like old Victorian era like history. It's very strange, but I really like the combination.
And the beauty is that both done from the Addams Family, but both very different in terms of storytelling and feels for horror. So I'm excited for this one. I'm banking on it's going to be different than anything we've seen from them prior to the other two films that I was speaking of, just because they tend to really want to tell these different kind of stories. So this one is, I'm excited for it. I'm hoping we're going to get this one. I know we've lucked out over the past couple years getting to see some of their films early. So I'm hoping, a third time is a charm, and we still can ride that high.
Yep. I mean, I think we strangely enough have tried to set up interviews with them several times, but they're always so busy, but they still like talk to us. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we can contact both Toby and John at any point. I know Evan talks to them on Instagram all the time. So it's like we're connected in well with them. We never have to worry about not getting to cover their films, but it's just one of those things where it's like these people just don't stop, man. They just keep going, and it is admirable. I
It's
wish that we had that drive, man. We need to get that.
it's funny because anytime, we end up in discussions with them, and it's just kind of a casual back and forth, and we try to set something up, and it just feels like anytime they're always on set somewhere filming something, so
Mm,
they just always stay busy, which I think it's a great problem to have. They have no shortage of ideas, and the way they intertwine their music as well always feels just right. It seems sometimes you can see creatives just kind of trying to shoehorn their music in, which doesn't really fit the tone, but I'll go back to Where the Devil Roams. The way that they fit their music into the time period somehow just fits organically into that film.
that's one of my I mean, everybody is really glazing up Sinners, and don't worry, I'll be there in a few minutes myself. But that's one of those movies that really mixes music and just like an original score and the music all together really nicely. And I would say Where the Devil Roams does that in the best possible way you can on such a small budget, where it's like their music is so unique in that film. It really sucks you into the time period and shows you just what a unique world they're telling the story in. And I just love that movie in general. I think it's their best film to me creatively. I think like that, all the ideas are so bleak and gothic and cool, and I love it. But I did want to mention this real quick since you don't know the story either here. So uh, One Day to Die, 3 Days to Rise. Shaken to her core after being diagnosed with cancer, young Mickey, played by Zelda Adams, turns to necromancy to heal herself after conventional medicine fails to help. Her father, Jake, played by John Adams, is not a religious man, but any skepticism he might hold takes a back seat to supporting his daughter's decision. And so they embark on a journey driving deep into the woods to meet with a witch who resides there. Her name, I'm just going to go with Savage. I don't think that's how you, Slovish. Sorry. Toby Poser, and they will be her guests for the transformative day to come. She will guide Mickey through a journey of discovery, ritual, and blood. Savage is offering her a dark magic guidance free of charge. That's not to say that it will come without costs. So there
I'm
you
on
go.
board.
I can't spell and I can't read, but I did my best. So yeah, that's all you get. But you guys knew that. You guys see all my little typos and stuff. I hear you. So
This looks well. This looks really well done already, just from that little picture.
I
think
know. I'm already interested.
Yeah, I know. It feels like Where the Devil Roams a little bit, just from that picture, but I feel like it's probably gonna be completely different. I'll be way off base by the time we watch it. But I'm ready for it. I'm ready for any, for them to come out with another film already, man. They're just horror machines at this point.
Honestly, they are, and I hate to see the year, and I imagine it'll happen at some point because it has to. I can't believe they're going to keep going. Where we get to these festivals and there isn't an Addams Family movie playing. I feel like we should also mention Hellcat. Also looks really good. That's IFC Shutter. I was interested in this one. I didn't look into it, but it's called Haunted Mountains in the Yellow Taboo. Do not follow a guy in a yellow raincoat when you're lost in the mountains. That's all I know about it. I didn't go too deep into looking into that one. Obviously, we talked about Good Boy. There's a ton of other films on here, like Flush sounds absolutely horrid. Did you hear about this one, Luke?
Yes, I did hear just a little bit about that one. Man, I'm ready.
Yeah.
This is going to be a busy festival. Very, very busy festival with a lot of a lot of wild storytelling.
This is French, just so everybody knows. A middle-aged coke fiend gets stuck in a bar's toilet with drugs stolen from his resident dealer. A delirious what does that say? Inventive, sorry. I'm thinking delirious and night. A delirious inventive thriller rides that consistently amps up the ante in dark comedic sizzles and shocks. Ugh.
In French films, man, I'll tell you, they have the French extremity wave, and man, again, wild storytelling. So I'm excited that one's a French film, because usually you get some, I don't know, imagery that just makes you feel hopeless. And I feel like that's what that film's going to be, in a good way.
Absolutely. But yeah, we should be getting our list tomorrow after this posts. Well, once she sees this, I assume she's sleeping. Our contact for that. So we should be getting access tomorrow for all of these. So we will start requesting them. Obviously, everything that we talked about, the ones you guys mentioned in the chat here as well, we will make sure to prioritize those so that way we can get reviews out as quick as we can. Definitely follow us on social media as well over the next week. I believe it's the 16th through the 25th, isn't it? Because it's one whole week. So it starts on Thursday, or no, it starts on, the 17th and then ends Friday the 25th. So
there we go.
Yep, that's when. So I think they do opening nights on the 16th, but technically the first full day is the 17th. So there you go. But that's going to start up that. So keep an eye on our Instagram. Keep an eye on the channel community posts. Luke does a ton of wonderful write-ups for a lot of the smaller films. So if we can't get a review dedicated out right away, just because of how many we might get or may not get, we will be posting them there. And then usually at the end of each festival, we like to do kind of like maybe this year we'll do we should do maybe like a stream.
Yeah.
And then we could really just take questions and really get into it and just kind of talk about it. And then I think that would be great fun. But yeah, this is my favorite time of year. It's usually this, and then you get like a couple weeks break and then right into Fantastic Fest. And then right after Fantastic Fest, it's this. But thankfully, if we hit Fantasia, it takes a little bit of the load off on Fantastic Fest, because there's at least a handful of movies we've already seen, and we get a second chance at a few that we may have missed. So it's always in good fun. I love these two festivals so much.
Yeah, we're getting into the busy season of these festivals, so a lot of films coming in your way soon.
Absolutely. But let me get rid of that. Okay, Luke, you want to maybe kick us off here, and we don't really have a format planned or anything, but you want to get us started here and kind of do a little introduction, talk about, I guess, best of the year, best of 2025 horror films so far. And I want everybody in the chat to participate in this if you feel like it, of course. Let us know what are just maybe your top 3 films. Let's want to do just top 3. You think that's fair? And then we can just kind of honorable mention the rest.
Yeah, that works totally fine with me.
Cool. Let's do that. And I want to hear everybody's top 3 films of 2025. Really curious to see where we're at. I know some of us, don't get a lot of time to see all of the big releases, but we keep up on small ones. Some of us get to see all the big ones, but don't keep up on the small ones. So this is a good time to always reconvene middle of the summer to talk about this. So that way, if there's any blank spots before we get into the big months, especially October, that September, October window is usually pretty packed. This is your best time to catch up.
Yeah, we have a lot of big films still coming throughout the rest of the year. But right now, I'll say looking back on my list, because I compile a list every time we see a film. So I know at that time when I walk out of the theater after reflecting on it for just a few minutes of where that sits with everything else that I've seen throughout the year. Now, sometimes that does change as I reflect back on it. So I'm kind of just keeping tabs on everything, kind of putting them in order as we go throughout the year. And I'll say, looking back right now, it's been a pretty strong year, especially not even getting into, we're middle of July here, and we're not even getting into those fall months yet, where we get a lot of big horror releases. And then, Dylan, what we're just doing top 3 then, starting at number 3.
I think that's fair. I think because we'll end up talking about each one. So yeah.
So right now, for my top 3, starting at number 3, I have Sinners right there. And man, what a story that is. What an experience in the theater that film is. Just really gets lost in that storytelling. Dylan, you mentioned in the review, you do forget that you're watching a horror film because of the character work in that, in what Ryan Coogler brought, what Michael B. Jordan brought, and what the entire cast brought. It just feels like a period piece, and then we drop in those vampiric elements to it, and it's like, oh yeah, we do have a whole horror story that we haven't even dove into because we're dealing with the time period, the social issues. But then once we get into that, it's just, man, they know how to deliver those horror elements. I'll say when I got to the third act, I was it felt a little rushed for me. And I think that's why it ends up at number 3 right now, is when we get into the horror elements, it felt slightly rushed just because of how well the pacing was and how well the narrative had been done prior to that I would have been okay. Ryan Coogler had me in the seat. Didn't matter. You could have given me another half hour added onto that film, and I wouldn't have cared just because of how well done it was. And I would have liked that. I think even a slower paced end would have worked well for me because we had a strong villain. We had just so many strong performances there.
Yeah, no, it was definitely it's a movie I certainly have been raving about. I think, like, for me, if I'm being completely honest, that's probably my favorite film of the year. So I would probably have to put that at my number 1 spot. But again, it's like there's been some solid ones, and I still need to really sit down with it. But I've gone back and watched that one twice since buying it on digital, and it's something that I just admire the storytelling. It's like it's not even because it's doing anything special. It's just so well done. It feels like a complete meal when you sit down and watch it. Like, I think I said this in a tweet last week, like in the middle of the night. I was just like up late editing, and I just got on Twitter and said, like, it's like a 4-course meal, like, that's just perfectly planned out. Everything works. And it's certainly something that I cannot get enough of, and I will probably watch it 100 more times before the year is up.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I think out of everything on this list, I think it's probably the best film on the list. But from a horror story perspective, I think there were 2 others that were just a little bit stronger from my taste. But man, when we talk about performances, Michael B. Jordan, I don't think can be beat. The guy plays 2 different characters in here, and they feel like actual different characters. And it doesn't feel like he's trying. It just feels like he's got that natural gift of acting that he can bring different personalities onto the screen. and you love both these characters. I mean, the ending to this film, it rips out your heart. And
It's so satisfying. I love the poetry of it too. There's just this. We talked about this. The thing I think about a lot when I think about this movie is when you, myself, and Zoe went out to the parking lot afterwards, and the excitement in our voices as we were discussing all the elements of it. Like, those are experiences I love. I love when I feel like that. That reminds me, like, Adrian was here for this when we all went and saw Evil Dead in 2013, the remake there, like how excited and freaked out everybody was, all that stuff. It's like, oh man, I love it.
yeah,
I want to answer just a couple of these real quick before I give one of my number 3. Ugly Stepsister, great pick. Sinners and Bring Her Back, certainly. Then we got, what's up, Gory Tiger? What's happening? And it's we got Bring Her Back and The Monkey. Yes, The Monkey, also very funny. I've been honestly getting a hankering to watch that again. I wonder if it's streaming anywhere yet. Love your channel. Thank you guys. Hey, thank you so much, Dusk. We appreciate it. Lisa Frankenstein in there. Was that this year or last year? Lisa Frankenstein.
Lisa Frankenstein was last year.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Hey, good movie though. I enjoyed that.
I think it came out February that year because I think we got so busy with so many things because it was on our radar and then we just couldn't make it to the theater at that time.
Rule of Jenny Penn does count because it had its theatrical like wide release in 2025, which that's going to be my number 3. So that's perfect that Necromechanimal put that in there. Rule of Jenny Penn is certainly one of my favorites of the year. It is unsettling. It is very captivating, very strong in its depiction of dementia. And it's probably one of the scariest depictions I've seen in a long time, to really commit the way that they do. And I know that you keep referencing a film called The Father that I need to watch. You said that depiction is really intense as well. But this is my first exposure to it like this, where you'll be in a scene and it's just going to drop. It just drops because he lost time. It's beautifully acted. And I tell you this, and I say it with like the utmost, like, I'm not exaggerating. The performances in this movie are some of the best of the year. I mean, I definitely appreciate what Ryan Coogler did in Sinners. I think that's great. There's also been a lot of other great stuff like Jai Courtney this year with Dangerous Animals, which would honestly just come in at my number 4. So we'll have to talk about that in a bit. But those are some of my favorites. But when it comes to the Rule of Jenny Penn, you just have 2 actors here, with John Lithgow especially being so maniacal, so evil. I've never seen him that evil. I've watched Dexter. I've watched all the stuff that he's been in. I've seen one of my favorites that I've been looking for an excuse to talk about in the list is Blowout, the John Travolta movie in him. He's so evil in that too. I love it. John Lithgow is almost like Pennywise the fucking clown in this movie. Swear to God.
His performance is absolutely terrifying. And I'll say, since we're getting into it, The Rule of Jenny Penn is my second film. It's already, we're already going to talk about it anyway. That one it's terrifying. The Father, that's with Anthony Hopkins, who has Alzheimer's, and we're seeing the story from his perspective. And so he loses time, and it becomes a very frustrating watch. But when you look at The Rule of Jenny Penn, this one, there are those elements there of frustration because you can kind of feel that he's maybe losing it a little bit. But then it really becomes this sense of hopelessness because I have a certificate in gerontology, so I understand, going into school and understanding the aging process. A lot of people end up, in assisted living facilities, and then my wife works in assisted living facilities, and knowing just the way that I guess families in real life are discarded in terms of the elderly are, and just kind of, they don't get to see their families and they're kind of just stuck there with these people around them. And when you're terrified of a person that's living there, and you're living there too, and there is no rules there. I mean, there are rules, but when you're not paying attention or you're not cared for properly, it just becomes this sense of hopelessness. It's such a somber tale in a different way than my number 1 film is. it feels scary. And John Lithgow brings that performance. He feels like a true villain. It is. There are times where that film can make you scared. Of course, introducing that little puppet, of the Jenny Penn puppet, man, it's scary in itself. And
I can't even say the line because I don't know if YouTube would be upset with us, but
oh my,
I want to say it. Said when he said that, my jaw dropped. I was like, "What the fuck? Like, what do you mean? What?"
it is what so jarring. If you haven't seen the film, you'll know the line when you see it. And it was so jarring. I was not expecting that line delivery at all. And just the kind of humiliation that these other patients have to go through when they're being terrified from John Lithgow. And there's a scene in here where one of the patients escapes because John Lithgow facilitates it. And those are things that have happened in real life. Those elements are so true. You're watching these people get showers. It kind of feels humiliating for them because they're just kind of out there and all display, and you kind of lose what as a human being, that feeling of having some sort of integrity. You feel self-conscious. You feel that on screen. It just takes you through psychologically so many different emotions. That's why I think the Royal Jenny Penn, watching it back, we got a screener for it, and I can say even now into July, that film, it just sits with you. It does get baked into your brain about certain instances because it feels like such an authentic take for what these people go through.
Agreed. It's haunting. It's certainly stuck with me. It's a movie that I absolutely recommend. If you guys, if you haven't seen it, circle back, catch it before the end of the year. I would be honestly floored if not at least 2 or 3 of you would add that to the top 10 of your year after watching it, because like it is something else. And it's it kind of puts that whole Alzheimer's, dementia, those brain degenerating diseases, it puts them in a whole different light of like they're terrifying just on their face, but the way they explored it, I'm like, it's one of the scariest translations I've ever seen. It just connected with me on such a deeper like level of fear. I was like, this sucks. I never want this. I never want to live like this. Like if I start, just put me out, in Minecraft, please. Obviously I don't want YouTube to think I'm saying anything crazy. We got a couple here. We got a couple of things. Let's see. Yes, lots of great recommendations tonight. I would have to agree. Then I'd probably bring her back for Jenny Penn. Those are 2 tough ones. That's hard to trade there. I agree. That's a hard toss up. And then what's Father streaming on?
I don't think that's
don't
streaming
know.
on anywhere. It used to be on HBO Max.
I was about
don't
to
know if
say
it's
your
still
best
there.
bet's probably Max
Yeah,
for some of
so
that stuff.
I don't know if it's still on there, but if it is, definitely give it a watch. So frustrating though. Just be prepared for that.
And then we got Dexter Resurrection just started, and I know you corrected this, so I'm loving it with a couple of forgivable exceptions. I'm interested, honestly. Like, were you a Dexter fan, Luke? Have we ever talked about Dexter?
I've only seen a few episodes of it. So
Okay.
no, I'm not against it. I just haven't sat down. Sometimes, especially with our schedules now, sitting down and committing to seasons upon seasons of television show is hard to do. But it is always intrigued me just from the concept of it.
Haley and I have worked out a good schedule recently with that. As long as she watches a couple screeners with me, or I get them watched and those are done. We're working through Supernatural. That's like 15, 16 seasons. I've never seen it. It's one of her favorite shows. It's pretty fun. I enjoy it. It's horror stuff. I like the characters a lot. But then every like 2-3 seasons, we take a break and we try to watch like a 1 season or a 2 season show. Just like whenever we're having dinner or whenever, we just have some downtime together. Like that's how we've honestly been able to balance this. So Dexter has been on the list because we've both seen the original series. We have not seen New Blood though. And I've heard it's just as disappointing as the original season. So I don't know if I should skip New Blood and go into this. Should I just I kind of know what happens already. So I don't know. I if any of you guys are Dexter fans, let me know if I should maybe stick with it and get through New Blood first, because I am curious. I heard good things. I mean, Cody's the biggest Dexter fan I know, and he absolutely adored the first episode or whatever he saw. Through all his Twitter reactions I saw, he was floored.
Dexter's been on my list forever. I just have to check out everything. So I definitely want to check that one out. It's just probably going to be a minute, but I've like my wife loves Dexter, so she's seen all the original stuff, but she hasn't seen any of the newer stuff after the original had ended. And I've watched a couple of episodes. I've always come in like deeper in where it's like, season 3 or 4.
Those are the
So
best seasons, though.
um
Or if that's the one with the Trinity Killer, that's the best season.
okay, I've only seen like episodic. I've never sat down. I've never seen like season 3, episode 3, 4, 5. I've always been like perused and
Yeah.
coming in. I'm like, well, and I'm always like, I don't want to pay too much attention to it because it's always been on my list to be like, okay, I want to sit down and commit to this. So I don't want it to be overly spoiled by the time I get into this and start checking it out.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I really would like to. I'd like them to figure that series out. I feel like they always like the revival again, I heard was positive at first, but quickly fell off the rails. And then, yeah, I don't know what it is about them and trying to wrap that show up. And plus, it just feels a little odd now that Dexter was gone for so long, comes back for a revival like mini series, and now has a full new series that I guess they're just going to keep going with, and a prequel. I think I didn't even know. Did the prequel come out? Was that any good? I don't know.
I don't know.
So yeah, I had Sinners, Rule of Jenny Penn. Luke, you had where are we at? I know we kind of jumped all over the place.
Yeah, you had Sinners at 1, Rule of Jenny Penn at 3. If I do remember, and mine is 3 Sinners, 2 Rule of Jenny Penn, and 1 is Bring Her Back.
Okay, awesome. Hell yeah. It's let's talk about that now because don't hate me. It's in my top 5, but it's my number 5 right now, Bring Her Back, and that's only because there's another movie that I just can't stop thinking about, and we'll talk about it. But it's I'm excited for it. But yeah, Bring Her Back. No, just because it's there, it might move up or down as the year continues. But that is no slight to that film. I loved it. It is truly exceptionally creepy and scary. I love how much more confident the fellows behind this one seem, the Filippo brothers. It's like the best way it's been described, and I know I've said it a couple times, is like, talk to me as the party movie. It's the party horror film. This is the nightmare, everything sucks, it's scary and depressing horror film, and it scared the piss out of me. I love it.
Absolutely. It is such a somber tale from a different perspective of, I talked about Rule of Jenny Penn. This one just, the subject matter that they tackle here, and man, this is a film I don't want to spoil too much at all if anyone has not seen it, but there's just so many elements to this. They have that kind of cult aspect to it, but we talked to the Filippo brothers, and I respect them for doing this because I know there was a critique out there that said, I want more lore with this film because I want to know, the method, and they had talked about it, and they said we had written pages of this lore to this cult, but we were strategic about what we placed in the film because we wanted people asking those questions. We wanted the intrigue, and I love those elements of storytelling where you have a character that's on screen, but then the screenwriter has 10 more pages of a backstory to a character because it just shows that love. And you can really feel things like that, I think, through Bring Her Back. The story there, the performances, they approach the avenue of somberness and horror very differently than I think a lot of other films do. I love the subject matter of going to a new house, a new parent in a sense, and just being so unfamiliar with what's going on there, and then bringing those elements of the cult and the supernatural elements that they get into. It is really terrifying, and I had a chance to rewatch that one. And Dylan, I know you and I had talked about it. There's a character in there that when you're looking through the glass by the pool, you're like, did that person have horns? And we only got to see it one time in the theater, and being able to go back and watch that film and pause on the scene, and it's like they clearly have horns, and just the subtleness,
man. It's so good.
Subtleness to that. It's just a quick, just you go right by it, and it kind of is jarring in a sense, but it puts you at such an unease with those quick cuts and just kind of thinking maybe I saw something, but maybe I didn't. And everyone will talk about the knife scene. Everyone will talk about the table scene, and those things are just absolutely haunting. There's some really great gore aspects in there as well.
The
I just
ice
feel,
chest scene.
yeah, my gosh. And it's like the more you watch that film, the more you pick up things and the more cohesive the story feels because you start like picking out everything. And the first time we went into it, I was overly excited with it. I think, but then coming out of the theater, as we talked about it with Jake and just how well done it was, and then being able to go check it out again when it was released and really kind of just dissect it a little bit more. It's such a strong film. So if you haven't checked that one out, absolutely check out Bring Her Back.
Yeah, that's always going to be an experience too that'll be in my brain just because like I know I've said this before. I don't know if I said it on a live. I think I said it in the review, but that was like so unexpectedly like once in a lifetime amazing feeling because like we were so excited for this movie. It seems like within I just double checked sending an email, and this is why I say if you want to do this stuff, if you want to get in this, just send emails, make connections, and don't be afraid to ask a couple times because we were able to get in an interview both the Danny and Michael Filippo about this, and that was awesome. They were super cool, super fun to talk to, really relatable guys. And then we went and got to go see this movie, and we thought, okay, it's just going to be a regular press screening, so it's like there's going to be critics and everybody's going to get invited and all this. It was literally just myself, Luke, and Jake. A24 just set one up just so we could make sure we had seen the film, so when we talked to them, they'd do it. And it was just like, what the fuck is that? Like, what the how did that happen? Because like I tell you, it's like it's nice doing what we're doing, but it's like from a nerdy perspective of like getting early screenings and stuff. Like it's because it's cool, it's fun, but like it's never like that. You know what I mean? Like we can church it up as much as we want, but it's never like that. It's as a nerd, as a horror film lover, it's just like, damn, that was cool. That feels great. And I'm glad the movie was good because it would have sucked to walk out of there and be like, that was mid. That really was trash. I don't know about Talk to Me Too, guys. Ugh.
Yeah, it was a great experience just to have us three in that theater. It was so surreal just to be able to, look at both you guys' reactions and that was it. It was just us and being able to just really take in that film. And man, yeah, that definitely added to the experience and the storytelling in that film. You felt so engaged, I think, in that film, especially just having us three in the theater and really just being able to pay so much attention to it and really just take in everything. And I think one of the best theatrical experiences of the year easily. But I think such a great film.
Yeah. And then I want to ask the chat, if you guys, what's your preferred like theater setting? Are you guys like, you want opening night, packed theater, everybody, the whole energy, the whole vibe, or are you guys kind of like a little bit more like Luke and a little bit more kind of like, I guess, myself nowadays, where you kind of like the spaced out, it's a little less crowded. I like to call it Sunday morning movies crowd, where it's like, it's a little quieter. You just get to go in and just kind of enjoy the movie and like an old person. That's kind of my preferred now.
I love I actually like my preferred like would be those films where we go in that have such a strong fan base, like when we
Fathom events.
Yeah, like when we saw Terrifier 2 for the first time, where it's like, especially when you're in those theaters that are real luxury style and they have like the seats that are so spaced out, it doesn't really matter how packed the theater is because you have your space already. But when you have such a strong fan base there and you're not elbow to elbow and just everyone breathing on you, those I absolutely hate. So I hate like opening night for huge budgeted films. Those things, man, I think they affect your experience so much. But when we have such a strong fan base and, it could be mildly packed, even like Terrifier 3, I think was a great experience just to go into to there. And everyone was just having such a great time. So especially when we get into these horror films and everyone's just really into it, those are some of the best theatrical experiences you can get.
Yeah. And it's going to be like the next time I think that is going to feel that way is Terrifier 4. But after that, I think like until we get Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th in theaters, that'll be the next time I think you have a feeling like that, where it's that big. You know what I mean? Where it's like the hardcore horror fans are coming out to see it, or God forbid any like I don't know if they redid Halloween again. I don't know because it's been so recent. I mean, I wasn't that long. I don't know what I'm talking about. Those Rob Zombie films weren't that far away. I don't know. Point is, I like some of these answers, and I agree. Yes, Tuesday morning early shows. For you, Dusk, are the Tuesdays, are those the discount ticket days? Because my wife and I, when we were dating in high school, that was like during the summertime of my junior going into senior year. That is what we did every Tuesday. We both had Tuesdays off of work. We'd get dinner, and we would go see a movie, get dinner, and then go see another movie. We would do two because it was literally $20, and that was two movies for both of us. It was awesome. So we used to do that, and I always love those. I hope they still have them. I just have the app now and the membership, so I don't really pay attention. So
It'd be a shame if they got rid of that stuff. I remember I was never really a big movie guy. Well, theater, going to the movie theater. Honestly, before we had started doing our other previous podcasts and things like that, I never really went to the theater. I think the movie I had seen last prior to like probably what 2015 ish.
mhm.
No, that's a lie. Probably it's 2014, but prior to that was probably Terminator 3 in the
Oh
theater.
wow,
Yeah. So I did not like the theater at all. So it was always a hard sell. But I remember going on Tuesdays after I started getting
Here we go.
back into that rhythm and getting those discounts because it was like, oh yeah, we could just double up on films I hadn't seen and just pay that discounted price.
Yeah, I remember taking my 80-year-old grandma to see the opening Blair Witch movie. Jesus, I hope she's all right. That's quite a movie to take them to. I don't know. I guess it depends on the person because you had people who were like, "Oh, this is dumb. It's not scary." Then you had people who were into it and were like, "Yeah, this is fucking terrifying." And I fall on the not necessarily that it's terrifying, but I didn't get the raw natural experience that everybody got to. I was a child when that came out, so or was I even alive? When was that? 1990.
9?
Oh, I was alive. Cool. We're good.
Barely.
I'm a child. But yeah, no, that's awesome. I was sat in a packed theater last night, a revival show of Sinbad, Eye of the Tiger from 1977. There you go. See, those are great too. When you go see a movie that everybody's a fan of. Like, I know we've been wanting to go see The Thing and Trick or Treat. They've played a couple of Octobers here, and we've missed them every time because we've been so caught up at October. That's a hard time for us because we're usually constantly just putting out videos. But the one that I'm really excited to see when it comes to revival screenings for this year is Jaws. I'm going to see that in August. I'm already got it picked out. I think I'm gonna make the spring and go up to Crocker Park, go see it in IMAX. Might as well, because it's like that's a movie that like I've never seen it on the big screen. It's like my favorite movie of all time. It's like between that, The Thing, Django Unchained, it's like those are some of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah,
So,
I would honestly like to see They Live on the big screen at
right?
some point. But
Something like that would be incredible.
yeah, they need to just do a full Carpenter run, I think, somewhere. It's like on a random day for like a full month. And I'll be there ready to go, to be honest.
100%. Well, I guess I should give my final movie here, and then we'll start getting towards the end here. But I'm going with Marshmallow as my number 2. I gotta put that there. Marshmallow, it's such a special fucking movie. I really didn't know what to expect. It has those 80s vibes. Like we were talking in our review about how Stranger Things kind of like oversaturated with that pop 80s, bright colors, all that. Like they go for the faux 80s aesthetic as to where like this isn't even set in the 80s and it feels more 80s, more true to that actual like 80s feeling movie like The Goonies or something like that. I love it, dude. It's like Richard Donner meets Stephen King. I fucking love Marshmallow.
Marshmallow's a great, great flick. That's actually my number 4. So just missed out on the top 3, but such a great smaller
so good,
film.
Penelope. Check it out for sure.
It's wild to think, like, at least from my perspective, I have Marshmallow, which is a small film at 4, Sinners at 3, Real Jenny Penn, which is another small film at 2, and then bring her back at number 1. Where man, a lot of these smaller films really just know how to bring that horror. Marshmallows, and no exception there, where they, what a great story, and you don't know where the hell that thing's going.
No.
There are some scenes in there that are like in water, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Especially that first watch, and then as you know the story and they lay that groundwork, and you go back and you do those rewatches. I think I've watched that film twice now, and man, you just have such a new respect for the way that they kind of hint towards things and the way that they're telling that story. And when they lay it all out, finally at the very end there, it still hits. I love the way that the very, very end of the film.
Oh yeah, they end it with a gut punch, but like it's one of those things where it's like, I respect that this movie does basically through the whole movie. Because would you agree with me? I can't say that because it would spoil stuff. Okay, all I'm gonna say is, like, to me, this is like one of those old fashioned, closer to like the early 80s, late 70s kind of horror films, in the sense, in the feel, because it's not overly bloody. It's not there for shocking gore and shocking craziness. It's got some gore, it's got a little bit of stuff, but it's nothing too wild. It feels kind of like how Halloween and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre like worked for people back in the day, where it's like it feels more brutal at times than it actually was. And I think that's just purely because the suspense in this movie, the mystery, it's all built up so well. And I mean, and you love the kids, you love the characters. Everybody feels like an actual kid from some neighborhood, 20 miles away from you. And you guys just so happen to be at the same camp. Like, that's how it feels. And I love it.
You can really tell that they were interested in telling a story in the horror genre rather than just being like, okay, I want to tell a horror story, let's figure something out. It just feels like the story that they wanted to tell fit into the horror genre so well. And even with those science fiction elements, again, it just has everything that you would want, I think, in a story. And when you talk about child performances, that's always an iffy discussion, because sometimes the performances just the acting ability is just not there yet. But here in Marshmallow, man, there are so many great child actors in this film that really do sell, especially sell the relationships when they're at this camp, and just the ghost story that's surrounding the narrative in general, I think, is so well done. They have this character, the doctor, which you see in the trailer, which I think is so great. The imagery there is so well done. And I think it just delivers. Yeah, it's not overly bloody. It's more so just kind of building that tension, building those science fiction elements. It feels like I'm reading like a Dean Koontz novel, or something like that, that's just unfolding on screen. I absolutely love it.
Necro Mechanimal brings up a great point. What do you think the perfect age to watch Marshmallow is? I'm gonna go, in my mind, I'm gonna say anywhere between 8 and 10. So like 8, 9, 10 range, I think, is a great place, because I would put movies like Monster Squad right there with it, in the sense where it's like Monster Squad, when you watch it, like, it's definitely it goes a little harder than some of the kids movies today, or some of the ones like that. You know what I mean? Like Goonies, we see dead bodies with holes in their heads and stuff in that. That you don't get that anymore in kids movies. So I'm gonna say 8, 9, 10-ish range is a good spot for that.
Yeah, I think and it's not anything that has to do with horror. I think maybe to 10 to 12 range, so that you can get an appreciation for the ending portion of the film. I mean, we still got comments of people that weren't necessarily understanding everything in that film. And for me, I don't think it's hard to understand, but I can see, especially if someone that's a little bit younger, I think they can watch the film for those horror elements in the story that they're telling for a certain portion, and really have an enjoyment out without being like terrified and having nightmares. I think that absolutely works. I think when you get into that ending portion of the film and when they're laying out that narrative, a younger audience might get a little lost in that. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that could be the case. So I think maybe in the 10 to 12 range, but I think even younger than that can have a lot of fun with the horror elements to the film without feeling like overly scared and they're going to be staying up at night, because it isn't something that's bloody. It just builds on some suspense. And yeah, I think especially through a child's lens, it could be a little scary, but I don't think it's going to be something that's absolutely terrifying where you're seeing Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees just dismantle someone completely on screen.
Shudder to Think says 6. Perfect. Right on the head. 6 years old. That's how old you got to be to watch Marshmallow.
I watched Friday the 13th, at
Hey,
a very
I
young
watched
age.
some
So it's
stuff.
like, yeah, I
before.
could see, I don't think there's a problem with it, but that's just
Nope.
me.
Nope. And I did want to throw this out there because I saw it got mentioned a ton. Like Amy Wilder here said, just a couple of things that I wanted to also mention here. Dangerous Animals, she brings up, fantastic movie, absolutely adored it. Bring Her Back, we talked about at length here. F1 I have not seen, I want to. Superman I did see, I saw it again today with my dad. First time seeing a movie in 4DX. Very mid, wasn't a fan. Didn't care. I thought I found it to be a bit of a hindrance to the movie. But it was all right. I was underwhelmed, but I think like if people like it, I get it. It's different. Final Destination Bloodlines is really where I wanted to fall onto this, because not only, yes, that's a perfect movie to have a packed theater for, and is it unique, it's fun, it brings a whole new life and vigor to the film.
It's a fantastic watch.
Our boy Luke slaved away all last week working on this epic Final Destination breakdown as a part of a little series he's doing where he's going to be talking about some recent releases, anything that really kind of catches his eye that's recent, thinking about going through doing some movie recaps, breakdowns, mixing in the production notes, all of it. I mean, it's a well-crafted, well-oiled machine, and it's not getting the attention it deserves right now due to the algorithm. So if anybody could get on there, share that video, that'd be amazing. Like it, do what you can, because I really think you really busted your ass on that, and I think it looked and was just phenomenal.
I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. It would have been a terrible task if it was a film I didn't have a love for, but I watched Bloodlines 2 more times while I was prepping that video, and that's a film. The more you watch it, the more you love it. I came out of the theater just adoring that film. Dylan and I both had talked about it, and we're trying to figure out exactly where that's going to fall into the Final Destination franchise. And we had all talked about where the placement was, but man, I got to be honest, that one is climbing more and more as I watch it, especially as you understand what it took to make that film, where they were originally going to go with the film, and then having the writer strike happen right as they were going to be actually filming that film. It was a wild ride for them, and to get the quality of that film being the 6th installment out there right now, it just makes you absolutely love that film, makes you love the actors that are surrounding it. It is it's a great film. It's in my top 10, which if you would have asked me last year, would a Final Destination film hit my top 10 of the year? Probably not, but right now it is comfortably sitting in my top 10.
Yeah, I think it's, if not my number 10, it's close to it, just because again, it's such a blast of a movie. And like it does make me excited, hopefully, for them to keep that energy up with the Final Destination. But I'm going to still say I'm firmly in the camp of don't make any more unless you have a good idea, because that's what they did with this one. And that's what works. Like, I mean, yes, do I want one all the time? If they were great, yes, I'd want one every year. It would be a great tradition, just like some of these horror franchises have become. But I think like what makes this movie special is just the quality and the change and how they put so much work into it. It's like, let's do it. I want more of them, but I want them to have ideas and I want them to move forward. But also I think, and you highlight this beautifully in a section, like in your video, that I think this movie is always going to be important to me because of that. And it's Tony Todd's send off. Like, how there's no world where that actually should have worked as well as it did. How like present and like in peace of mind he had to be to understand, like, I'm probably not going to see the release of this movie, so I really want this scene to mean something. And then the filmmakers just being like, anything, let's do it anyway. It's like, that's beautiful. That is amazing, and it's definitely, in my opinion, I think one of the most memorable send-offs in cinema history. I mean, like, it feels like he just said goodbye to all of us, and
Yeah.
it breaks my heart.
Very rarely do we get that kind of closure, I think, on any actor, with anything like that. But we got a kind of a closure to the actor of Tony Todd, even that character, and that is such a rarity. And it's sad when we went into it. I know we were both talking about it prior to seeing the film, and then walking out. That was one of the things we instantly talked about. It's just so emotional. But being able to actually see Tony Todd one last time in the theater, and him more than likely knowing that that was going to be his send off, and being able to deliver the lines that he did, and for them to hit the way that they do. And I know we both talked about, we didn't cry in the theater, but it was certainly getting emotional in there, just because we knew the Candyman is someone I grew up with being terrified of because of that urban legend. And then grew a love for Tony Todd through Final Destination, my love for rewatching Candyman, for Hatchet, all those films. And then we recently got to see him in stream, and what a welcome presence he was there.
Very surprising too.
Yeah,
You didn't see that coming.
Yeah, before we even really knew anything, and didn't think too much of it. And then, that news came in November, and it's heartbreaking, and but being able to see him and get that closure, and having those beautiful lines for him to deliver, man, there is no more appropriate send off that I can think of in cinema.
I don't trust anything after Chadwick Boseman. I know it was COVID, and I know that was like a time where people weren't seeing people all that often, but like the fact that everything went into lockdown, we see one picture of him where he's like emaciated, and people are like, oh, he must be gearing up for a role, it must be something, and then a couple weeks later he's dead. It's like, what? Like, and then you find out all about this. It's like, anytime I see an actor or somebody, especially when they're up at like the age that Tony Todd was and everything, it's kind of like you gotta keep them guarded. You gotta keep your tabs on them, because they're not going to be here forever. It's tough. So I certainly love that movie, and I think it's got a special place in my heart. Definitely climbing the list ever so slightly as I watch it, because admittedly I had to borrow the film from a place not YouTube friendly to get some very high res screenshots for those thumbnails last night when I was making those. So I did actually rewatch that scene, and I will say I think it didn't make me tear up. Like, I was close to tearing up in the theater for that scene. Like, you had those emotions, but like I think it was even worse the second time around, because now the excitement of the film isn't there as much, because it's like, I know what's going to happen, and now I can just kind of take that in for the moment that it is. And I was just sitting there watching that as I'm like tailoring up and cutting him out of frame and everything, and I'm just like, such a good fucking scene. I can't believe they got this so well.
And it still holds up, and to think everything aligned for him to be able to do that, prior to him passing away. It's just somber but beautiful that we did get that closure with him, and being able to see him that one last time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But yeah, that's I think everything for this little so far. I was great talking. I'm really happy to see a lot of really great movies up there. I did want to give Adrian, because he's been quiet this entire time. He's on mobile and out of the country still, so it's a little bit of a rough load for him. But I know you've seen a couple of horror films so this year. So what's your number one? What's the one you like the most so far?
I gotta say, Sinners was really cool. Was really impressed with that one. For all the reasons all y'all need, talk about. I don't need to go on a spiel about that one. But did Barbarian come out this year? I saw it this
Barbarian
year.
was a couple years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Oops. I'm trying to think. I think I saw one recently in theaters that I loved. 28 years later, super beautiful. Kind of talked about that on the last episode I was on. Still thinking about that movie. Just amazing. Well done across the board. Can't think of any complaints for that one whatsoever. And then what would be my number three? Let
It's
me
not
think
horror,
here.
but you could definitely mention Mickey 17. because
mean,
we love Bong Joon-ho on here. So
didn't Mickey 17 come out last year? Or was that earlier
Nope.
this year?
it was January.
Oh, boom. All right. Well, shoot. That's an easy number 3, if not number 1 right there. Cause I love sci-fi. I love dark humor, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, those are the movies at the top of my head. I can't think of my number 3. I've seen a bunch of horror movies this year, but I don't know if any, I mean, I don't know how many of them like came out this year.
And
You know what I'm
you haven't
saying?
seen Bring Her Back yet, have you?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, that's one you and Julie should see, dude. It's so good.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Where can I watch that, by the way? Is that on Shudder?
No, that one would be on like premium rentals like Prime and Vudu and stuff right now. But I think the physical's coming out soon. I think, is it end of this month, Luke?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's.
So as long as it has a digital copy, one of us will get it, and then we'll just get you the Vudu login. So
Appreciate you, my man.
hell yeah. But alrighty, folks. I think that's it's gonna wrap it up for us here. We do appreciate you spending your evening with us, leading into the scary, terrible Mondays. Luke, you got anything that you want to mention? Anything on the docket? Anything coming up?
Well, we got a couple reviews coming up. I mean, Fantasia, we talked about it to an extent, so that's gonna be the bulk of probably this coming week. We also have I Know What You Did Last Summer, so that'll be.
Oh, that's
a
right.
review.
That's Wednesday.
Yep,
Okay.
that'll be a review on the channel. We'll see how that one turns out. I don't have high expectations, but still working on a couple things. I got to develop my next list here, so that's going to be on the docket here over the next few days, and then probably going to be looking at another new release, something maybe hitting VOD in the next couple weeks, so I can do another video in line with how I did Final Destination Bloodline. So you know, we're staying busy.
Absolutely, doing our best. And like I said, I've got the Human Centipede list on the way, folks. It's going to be, like I said, Friday. I'm confident that as long as I don't run into any more issues with YouTube or anything, I should be fine to get that. I'm shooting for, if not Wednesday, an early Thursday release on Patreon. So if you are not yet subscribed to our Patreon, feel free to check that out. You get early access to certain videos like these. You'll definitely start getting early access to videos like what Luke's been doing with the Final Destination stuff. We're taking polls. We're taking all kinds of things. We're really trying to make that something that you guys find the most value in, that prioritizes what you guys want to see from us if you're going to be paying extra, of course, because again, it's money you don't have to spend on us. We deeply appreciate it, and you guys are the best. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for just spending time with us. So I love this. I always look forward to this every week. So definitely had a lot of fun there. Adrian, stay safe, get home safe. I'll see you at the end of the week. We're going to a bachelor party. So
Yes, sir. We're going to be turning up. Appreciate you boys having me on, man. Always a fun time being on.
Of course. I mean, we couldn't do it without you, sir. You bring the heart and soul to this. We were looking like a bunch of idiots last week. It didn't look dynamic. It looked goofy. I didn't know how anything worked. It was a mess. We
also just had some separation anxiety as well, but that didn't come.
Me too, man.
Talk about that on screen, you know.
Me too, man.
Now we're back. We're back at it. The three best friends.
There we go. Absolutely. Always fun chat. All right, Penelope, we'll catch you later. Thank you. And yeah, that's going to wrap it up here, guys. So we will catch you later. And until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.
Do the horse shit, gonna do it live. Cause Splattercast kick it every day they live. Smash your ass.